Hi everyone, welcome back to my hostage video looking living room. My name's Leanne, and a couple of days ago I asked for you to submit questions to me so that you could kind of get to know me a little bit better rather than just as one of the hosts of TFNation. So I got a lot of questions in, some of them better than others, admittedly. Yeah, I thought I'd give you a chance to get to know me. So, as you know, my name's Leanne. I'm 29 years old, 30 this year. Oh God. I live in the northeast of England with my boyfriend Dylan and my 9-year-old son and 4 rather mental cats, who I'm sure you'll see at some point in the course of these videos. I am an English language student. I don't currently work, but I do run a pantomime society, which most of you will have heard if you've seen my videos by now. So without further ado, I shall start answering some of the questions that you have. Starting with, of course, the most important question, what is your favourite cheese? Now, I do actually have a story behind my favourite cheese. Basically, my family, we grew up playing a Chinese tile game called Mahjong, which sounds completely irrelevant, but I promise you it is. And we played this every Christmas when my grandma and my uncle came up from Nottingham to stay with us. And every Christmas, my uncle would bring up Stilton from the Cropwell Bishop Stilton factory that he lives around the corner from, which is the best Stilton in the world. And so, yeah, I grew up eating Cropwell Bishop Stilton, and we used to sit at Christmas around the big table playing the Mahjong and eating the Stilton, and it brings back a lot of good memories for me. So yes, I do like the smelly cheeses, I do like the blue cheeses, but Cropwell Bishop Stilton is my favourite. So there you go. Favourite cheese. Okay. Oh God, David, thanks for this. David has submitted the 10 questions that I had to ask Peter Spellos at the end of his panel. So, what is your favourite word? My favourite word is actually an obscure French word which we don't use in this language, and which is completely obsolete anyway, because my favourite word is magnetoscope. Magnetoscope, which means VHS player, so completely obsolete now. What is your least favourite word? I don't know. I don't have being a student of English language, I don't necessarily have a least favourite word. I have a least favourite grammar issue. I hate people who write would of, could of, should of. There is no such verb as to of. I guess that kind of answers the question. What turns you on? He's shortened that question. It should be spiritually, emotionally, spiritually or emotionally. So I'm going to go with what turns you on spiritually or emotionally. And that is passion. Somebody's passion for a particular subject or thing. So, for example, my boyfriend's very passionate about cricket. I had no idea anything about cricket until I met him. Didn't really care either, but he spoke with such passion about it that I was like, okay, I'm going to learn cricket. And now I'm a cricket fan. Go figure. Anyway, so yeah, what turns you on? People's passion for their subjects and their loves. What turns you off? Hatred. I don't like people hating people for any reason in particular, which I think is reasonable. What sound or noise do you love? This is going to be really bad. I love the sound of laughter and applause. I grew up acting, I grew up on stage, and there's nothing better than that first laugh or that first time you get applause in a show, because it relaxes you and you think, oh, thank God, I'm doing all right here. Yeah, so what sound or noise do you love? Laughter and applause. What sound or noise do you hate? Oh, anything that squeaks, like forks, and like I'm getting goose. I don't know if you can see, I've gotten goose pimples just thinking about it. But like the forks and knives on a plate, or nails down a blackboard. Look at my poor little goose pimples. Yeah, just squeaks. Ugh, I hate squeaks. What's your favourite curse word? All of them. I use them a lot, and I enjoy using them. And I do want to not swear on YouTube, so we'll go with all of them. I like cursing. It's good fun. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt? Okay, well, I don't have a profession currently, so anything other than student. I would like to be, I would like to interview people on stage, or on TV. I would love to be a TV presenter. Yeah. What profession would you not like to do? Anything that smells. I really don't like smells. So fisherman. I don't think I could do fisherman. I love eating fish, but I hate the smell of like fresh fish. So, fisherman. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates? Go back. It's not your time. Oh, I don't want to die. Yeah. Or, you know, if it was my time and I had to go, you did good. Yeah. Okay. Then we move on to the a Transformers question. Okay, so if you were a Transformer, what would you transform into? So I had a good think about this one, and I would totally transform into a well looked after house cat, because they are like the epitome of a wonderful life. You get to eat, you get stroked, and you get to sleep 18 hours a day. So, yeah, I would totally transform into a house cat. Never mind all this fighting and wars and stuff. Well looked after house cat. And just sleep. Excellent. Okay. Stop. Who would cross the bridge of death must answer me these questions 3. Ear the other side he see. What is your name? It's Leanne. What is your quest? To produce a video answering questions. What is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow? And to that I have to say, African or European? Oh, funny. Okay, moving on. How annoying do you find David Paul Wallace? Very. No, I'm joking. He's I love David. He's awesome. He's my best friend. We work together in Panto. He helped me move into my flat. He looks after me. He's a wonderful man. So yes, slightly irritating on occasion, mostly because he likes to do stuff, and he gets like he gets blinkers on, and it's like, right, okay, we need to do this, and we need to do this now, and we need to do all of this, and we need to do this, and he thinks too far into the future, and we have to like pull him back and go, David, not quite yet. Start, walk before you run. But no, I love him. Which leads us on to, that was a 1 to 10. So on a scale of 1 to 10, maybe 4. So not very much, but occasionally rein him in. On a scale of 1 to 10, how amazing is David Paul Wallace? Well, he's a 10. It's almost as if he's submitted these questions himself. He hasn't, I promise, but yeah. He's a 10. He's awesome, David is. How much of your panto experience did you draw on when you went up and spoke at TFN? All of it. I've never done anything to a crowd that big, but years were like a panto crowd, to be honest. You know, you talked back at me when I yelled at you and said, how are you doing? I can't hear you. I said, how are you doing? That's all panto. So I've done that so many times over the years. That's like second nature to me. And I wasn't expecting the kind of reactions that I got back, which was wonderful. It put me completely at ease because I was like, yeah, this is good. This is what I do generally. So yeah, how much did I draw on my panto experience? Absolutely all of it. Everything you saw, me bounding around on stage, holding up things like this and waving, and it's all panto, all of it. Not every guest is media trained or a great foil for the person working with them. Was anybody harder than another to get a session out of? Well, this is my first year, so I can't speak for past conventions, but everyone that I worked with was relatively easy to talk to, but I did make the effort to chat to them beforehand and get to know them beforehand, so I wasn't going in cold, because I think it's easier to have a chat and communicate on stage when you kind of know the person a little bit. So that's what I did. I made sure to go up to people. There was a couple who weren't media trained and who had never done anything like this before, and they were nervous. But I sort of took them to the side beforehand, and I told them about what I was going to do, how I was going to introduce them, and said, you're going to be fine. You're talking about what you know about, so it'll be okay. And I think having that little bit of a human connection beforehand puts people at ease, and they're more likely to open up, and they're easier to talk to because they know that you're approachable. So that was how I dealt with that. But there was nobody that was harder to work with than others. You've just got to have that little spark of human connection. At least that's my opinion anyway. Right. What do I do for a living? I don't. I don't do anything for a living. I write essays and pantomimes, and I don't get paid for either of them. I am going to do a master's next year in journalism and media, so hopefully in 2 years' time, ask me the same thing again, and I'll have a great answer for you. Okay, how did you get involved with / become part of the TFN crew proper? I.e. become a black shirt. Oh, I like that, black shirt. Makes me sound important. I got involved because David does, he sort of arranges the panels and how they're going to look, and comes up with ideas for them. And when he was arranging this year's, he found that we had the 2 separate panel rooms this time, instead of a panel room being in the trader hall, and he wanted 3 people to cover the big panel room, little panel room, and the trader hall for announcements. And he knows me really well through the work that I do with Panto. We've known each other a few years, and he said, oh, need a new person, need another person. And I went, well, I could probably do that, and so he ran it up the higher ups, who have also seen me in Panto, and they decided to go for it and give me a chance. So I didn't do the usual thing of joining as a volunteer and then kind of gradually. I was brought in because of my experience in being on stage, and my rapport with David, because that helps when you're on stage with somebody. You can bounce off each other if you know each other well. So I was brought on simply to do because of my my past experience. How did you become interested in Transformers? Through TFN. I had very little knowledge when David first put me forward for this, and everybody knew that I had very little knowledge, but obviously in order to host a Transformers convention, you should have some knowledge of Transformers. So I went away and learned what I needed to know, and that was how my interest in Transformers sort of evolved. What's your favourite aspect of the hobby? Toys, fiction, art? Okay, well, as I say, this is fairly recent for me, so I haven't seen or read or whatever as much as you guys have. I really enjoy the art though. I think, and I was watching the artists work at TFN, and watching them create something from nothing is just absolutely fascinating. I find it an incredible skill, and they are extremely talented people. So I love the artwork, absolutely love the artwork. In terms of the TV show, I've got a special place in my heart for animated after all the work that we put into animated season 4. But I also, I've watched a few of the sort of the G1, and so there kind of area. Right. Has your interest in Transformers changed over time? Well, yes, because I had zero interest in Transformers before, and now I have interest in Transformers, so I would say that's a fairly huge change. And what's been your TFN highlight? I think my TFN highlight has simply been, it's not been anything to do with the actual sort of convention. The panels were great, I loved them. I love meeting people and what have you. But the highlight of the convention for me was seeing everybody get along and feeling this sense of community and seeing everybody come together, and just experiencing joy through a shared hobby and shared interest. And I think that that's so important in this day and age, to have that, because we do have a tendency to lose our sense of community. Especially with everything that is going on in the world at the minute, and seeing people come together and just being absolutely, overly excited and joyful and enjoying every minute and getting on with people and meeting people that they never would have spoken to normally, or they would never come across in normal everyday life. That for me was the most important part of the convention. It feels like a family, and so that is my highlight. Right, what else have we got? Who's your favourite Transformer? Now, I'm going to be a bit of a sellout here, because obviously I interviewed Peter Spellos, but I love Skybite, simply because he's a bit dopey, and he tries to do evil and ends up accidentally doing good, and then decides that he wants to be good. And I think it's such a lovely. He's got a story arc. He tries to redeem himself, and I think that's wonderful. Plus the fact he likes haikus, and he does his little sing song. As a student of English language, I'm a big fan of the haiku. So. I love the way he speaks and the way he puts himself across, and the fact that he's just this big dopey shark, big dopey Predacon, that tries to do evil and just is so bad at it, and I love that. Least favourite Transformer? Well, again, I'm going to be a sellout. It's got to be Megatron, hasn't it? Big bad. Can't get any worse than that. Which voice actor would you like to see attend TFNation in the future? Okay, I happen to know that Eric Idle was in Transformers, and I am a massive Monty Python fan. Big Monty Python fan. So, who would I like to see at TFNation? Eric Idle. That'll never happen because it's Eric Idle. But Jesus Christ, that would be amazing, wouldn't it? Okay. Okay, when we chatted at TFN, you told me your passion is performance and that you do panto. What's your favourite show you've ever done, and what do you do in the panto group? Okay, so my favourite show is a toss-up between Peter Pan, which I did in 2012. I think it was 2012. Or Cinderella, that I did last year. Because last year I had an amazing cast and they made the show incredible. But Peter Pan was the first panto I ever wrote and directed. So it's got a really special place in my heart, and I think it was an amazing show. So those two. And what do you do in the panto group? Well, what don't I do is the better question. I write the panto, I direct, I'm chairperson, I sort sets, props, costumes, I produce, I liaise with parents, I run the kids groups, I sort the music, the lighting. Yeah, I do pretty much everything. Now, in previous years, that was all just me doing all of that, and the only other people there were the actors, and I had one member of our team that was like our admin person, because I don't do admin particularly. But now, in sort of the last 2 years, I'd say, I now have help with all of that, so it's not just me going in alone. Like, David is directing this year, for example, while I do my dissertation, and I'm producing. Last year he did the set. We had a lady come in who did costumes last year as well. So over the past few years, those jobs have gradually decreased, which is fantastic. But at the beginning, when I first took over the society, yeah, that was all me. I'm very glad for that change. Okay, this year at TFN, you got to interview Peter Spellos. If you could pick anyone else in the world to interview, who would it be and why? Okay, Hugh Laurie, without a shadow of a doubt. I love Hugh Laurie. I grew up watching Blackadder, and the fact that he managed to go from this English buffoon of a character to go across the pond to America and break into the serious TV like House is incredible. Barely any actor makes that jump, and can get away from their image of a buffoon if that's what they've been playing. He can play musical instruments. He does stand-up comedy with Stephen Fry, or he did a long time ago. I just think he is a wonderfully talented person, and I am in awe of him. So if I could interview anyone in the world, it would be Hugh Laurie. David is my hero, and I think he's amazing. How lucky are you, and what do you do to remind yourself how grateful you are every day? Submitted by Mr. Wavid Dollis. Well, shut up, David. If you could visit any time and place, where would you go and why? I think this is my last question. Oh, it is. If I could visit any time and place, where would you go and why? Okay, I would visit Scotland in the 18th century. I'm not a massive history buff, but I have a soft spot for 18th century Scottish history, and you know, the Battle of Culloden, the Jacobites, and then later on when they all moved over to America, you know, the American War of Independence. It fascinates me, how they tried to sort of overthrow the king to put another king in place, you know, Bonnie Prince Charlie and all that, and so many people died for that cause because there were idiots at the helm. Bonnie Prince Charlie. But I would love to go back to that period of time. I think it's, you know, it was a time where everybody came together and everybody had this sense of family, and clan, you know, they had their clans. So I don't think I'd like to get involved in the wars so much, the Jacobite Revolution and what have you. I don't think I'd like to get involved in that. But I would like to be around. I also find the evolution of medicine and what have you really fascinating. So it would be interesting to see how they coped with ailments that are really easy to deal with today. And I'm sorry, I know that's probably really boring, but that's, you know, that's where my interests lie. So yeah, I think that was my last question. So if anybody has any more or wants to know anything else about me, you know, other than my weird selection of history and what my favourite Transformer is, then, you know, submit a question in the comments, and if I get enough, then I might do another one of these. And so thanks very much for watching. I hope you know me a little bit better now, and I'll see you soon.